six questions. So 6 questions so that you can use these as extra practice problems so that you're ready for the test. So first thing we're doing is we're solving equations with logarithms. So I came up with these two equations. I need you to realize how these are different. These are not the same. So the first has parentheses around the 4r plus 4, where here we don't have parentheses. So for this problem, my first move is to get rid of log. Okay, I can't get to what's inside the parentheses until I make the log disappear. So I'm basically going to rewrite this in exponential form, or we can exponentiate. Since it's base 6, I put a 6 underneath each side. Okay, that wipes out the log. We're left with 4r plus 4 equals 6 to the 5th power. So I'm going to pull up my calculator because I don't know what 6 to the 5th is. So when this loads, I'm simply going to ask 6 raised to the 5th power. Okay, it's going to tell me 7,776. So 7,776. Okay. So once I have that, all I need to do, and I'll do this all in the calculator, then I'll write it down. We're going to subtract the 4. So this 4 right here we undo it by subtracting. There it is. And then our last move, so once that 4 is gone, we have to divide by 4 to solve for r. So I'm going to divide by 4, and I get an answer of 1943. So r equals 1943. Okay, just want to double check to make sure I wrote it down. Yep, 1943. So again, just understand we subtracted the 4. And then once we did that, we divided by 4. Okay, and when we did that, we got this answer. Okay, where this problem, you have to be aware, this plus 4 is not what we're taking the log of. We have to subtract 4. So I'm going to subtract 4. I get log base 6 of 4r, and that's going to equal 1. Now, to get this, I have to get rid of the log. So my next move is to get rid of log. I put a 6 underneath each side. The log disappears, and you're left with 4r. 6 to the 1 power is 6. Divide by 4, and I'm just going to reduce it to 3/2, or 1.5. Okay? So again, totally different problems. So if you wanted to check, you could do the log base 6 of 4 times 3/2, close the parentheses, and add a 4, and I promise you it'll come out to 5. Okay? So then down here, I have an example of exponential functions. So with exponential functions, we need the base by itself. This 6 is my base. I need to subtract 4. Okay, so when I subtract 4, I'm going to get a 49. Okay, and then the next move is to undo this base. So that's what logs are. So log base 6 is what's going to wipe it out. I'm going to need to ask the calculator for log base 6. I know my handwriting is awful, but this wipes out my base 6. I'm going to pull up my calculator again, and this time I'm going to hit the math key. I'm going to find log base, which is right here, and I'm going to put in a little 6 as my base and 49. It's going to give me a decimal. And so my last move, so it's about 2.1, let me move this, 2.17, and what was it? 2. And so then the last move is just to add 1, and our final answer is 3.172. Okay? Shouldn't make sense. Get rid of the number, isolate your base, take the log of that base. So now here's my base. My base is 15. I don't want that negative 10 there, and you don't add a 10. So it's negative 10 times 15 raised to a power, and you can't multiply. So we have to undo it by dividing. Okay, so then you're left with your base of 15 raised to negative 4k. And then this is simply going to be 3.4. Okay, I don't need a calculator to do that. I can do that in my head. But if you needed to, you would divide that. It would tell you 3.4. And now I'm ready to get rid of base 15. So I take the log base 15 on both sides. Negative 4k is going to equal that number, which I will need a calculator for. So I can't do that without a calculator. So let's ask the calculator for the log. Oops, thought I hit the math key. Math, scroll up and hit enter. And I'm going to have a base of 15. And my number is 3.4. Okay, so I hit enter. I get that decimal 0.452. So 0.452. And then my last move is to divide. So I'm going to divide by negative 4, divide by negative 4, and I get my answer of about negative 113, negative 0.113. Okay, that's all we're doing. There's our answer. It checks. If you would plug it back in, you would get very close to negative 34, only because we're rounding. Okay, the last thing I want to show you in this video is the section where I'm going to ask you to find the inverse. So I have two examples. I have my first example is a logarithmic function, and then the other one's an exponential function. These go hand in hand. So the rules for finding the inverse of any function, we switch the roles of x and y. Okay, so there's step one done for us. Since this is in parentheses, I have to get rid of the log base 4 first. So I am going to put a 4 underneath the log. I'm basically exponentiating. It's going. And then on this side, it's 4 raised to the x. So we're left with 4 raised to the x equals the log disappears. And I can drop the parentheses, which leaves me one last move, and that is to subtract a 1. And there we go. Okay, so they are inverse of each other. You can type this in your calculator, you can type this, and you're going to see that the roles of x and y are switched for all the points. So if you look at the graph, we could fold it about the line y equals x. Okay, this last problem, same thing. We switch the roles. The y now is my x is the y, and I'm simply going to solve for y. So my first move, since this is a plus 1 here, I'm simply going to subtract 1. So I subtract 1, and I'm left with x minus 1 equals 5 raised to the y power. And so to get rid of this 5 that's a base, I take the log of that base, okay, on both sides. Log base 5. Now, it is very important that you put parentheses around that, because this is actually going to be a shift to the right one. So when you actually graph this, this is a shift up. So its inverse is going to be a shift to the right one. So the final answer is log base 5, parentheses, x minus 1, close the parentheses, equals y. Okay, so 6 quick little examples that I hope that you are willing to watch. Compare these to the practice test and be ready for our Chapter 6 test. So thanks for watching. Take care.